Hey everybody, and welcome back. Today we're going to take a little break from some of the more technical topics, and we're just going to talk about, I guess, some advice I have for people that are trying to change careers or just get into programming. So a little background about myself, and the reason I'm going to talk about this is, I'm a career changer, right? I spent 20 years in the Army. God, I was 44 years old, had to find a new career, and honestly, where I'm at now isn't something I even knew existed or was in my top 1,000 list of things like I ever thought I would do after the military. It was kind of a series of pivots and following opportunity. I was kind of interested in tech and programming and all those sorts of things. So this is kind of based, I guess, on my own experience, my own journey as a self-taught programmer. Although I'll argue that maybe none of us are truly self-taught. I've certainly read lots of other people's books and blogs and YouTube videos, and none of us ever did this on our own. So one of the things, first I'm going to start off. Here is my one simple trick that you got to do if you want to be a programmer, right? You got to practice. And I mean, you got to practice every single day. And even in my opinion, if this is what you do for a living, right, you get paid to code 8 hours a day, you probably still need to find other time to code, to practice, to learn new concepts. I don't know, I spent some time last night. I've been working on Node.js and NPM and how generators and JavaScript work. But if this is the right career for you, I guess I'm going to say, for me, that's like kind of my hobby anyway, so it doesn't ever seem like tedious. Oh, now I gotta go practice code. I enjoy doing it. If it's, I guess, like when I was in 5th grade band or whatever, my parents made me go practice the instrument and it's miserable and tedious, probably not the right job choice for you, so you gotta practice. But the other thing I want to talk about, and this is something I really believe firmly from my own progression, right, to, I guess having to stare at somebody else's code to write a simple for loop, to where I am now, where some sucker pays me money every day to do this, is that don't let syntax intimidate you. And what I mean by syntax is every single programming language. It's the grammar that every single programming language uses. So, at its simplest level, all any of us really do, regardless of the language, the platform, the framework, is we write instructions for machines. And every language has its set of rules that you have to follow, so it can translate the language we write into a language that a machine can understand. Whether that's Apex or Java or JavaScript or Python. Syntax. Every language has its grammar. And when you're starting off, this is hard. I can't tell you how much time I spent trying to remember, does a curly brace go here? Or is that a parentheses or a comma? And I firmly believe, it's a rite of passage for a new programmer to spend hours debugging a program, just because you forgot a semicolon somewhere, right? Been there, right? I remember, I had to stare at David Liu's Apex Academy to write, the most trivial, and I had to watch it several times to write the most trivial hello world trigger ever. But what I'm trying to say is after, a period of time, and because you practiced, syntax becomes muscle memory. And it's not something you have to think about too much anymore. And you'll find that a lot of the concepts apply from language to language, which is why once you learn that first language, the others start to become much easier. And I'll demo that for you for a little bit here in a second. But so if you practice and you don't, it'll be hard. I'm not telling you I got it. I know how hard it was for me, but it will come. And I'm going to say after 6 months to a year maybe of practice of working on this, syntax, that's the least interesting part of programming. And so I'd say if you're a Salesforce person and you're really good with flows, I would argue, that you kind of understand programming, you just don't know Apex syntax. So if you're awesome at flows, learn Apex syntax and add that to your tool belt. Don't let it intimidate you. Let's get in, and I'm just going to give you a quick demo, because the thing is, like I said, syntax becomes the least interesting part, and what becomes much more important are kind of these logic puzzles, and how do we put this code together in a clean, scalable, maintainable way, software design, design patterns, all of these things. And you stop worrying about, like I said, where does the semicolon go? So let's just take a quick hop in here. And I'm going to do just a couple simple things. I'm going to do them in Apex, and I'm going to do them in JavaScript, just to kind of show the differences, syntax between the languages, and how this just kind of comes. So you can see some of the similarities, and how once you get good with one, you'll start to get good with all the others. So now Apex, right? Our code has to be in a class, and it has to be in a method. So we're going to make this a public static void say hello. And if you watch, I have another video on this channel about Apex method syntax, because that used to just really confuse the heck out of me. And it's just, again, it's just syntax. And so we're going to do a for loop in here. So for, right, parentheses for our for loop, and then we're going to say integer I equals 0, semicolon, but not capital I, less than 10, and I plus plus. And you're going to see some of these are pretty common patterns across different languages. And then we're just going to put it in a debug log. Hello world. All right, and now because it's Apex, and Apex is a compiled language, and it compiles on the cloud, we got to compile it. We'll run our anonymous Apex here. Oh, why do I got that stuff in there? It's from an earlier video I did. So we're going to say learn the code dot say hello. And there you can see. So in our debug log, 10 times hello world. And let's do the same thing in JavaScript. All right. So we could just write it in here, but we'll do a function. And so we'll say function say hello. So now, right, instead of a class and a method, we did a function. What? For. That word for, so this is why I said don't worry about syntax as much. Syntax, for is a pretty common word in programming. I always say a for loop is a for loop, right? The syntax might be a little different, but when you use it, doesn't. So remember before we did integer I, so now we're just going to say let I equal 0. But same thing, we're going to declare a variable. We're going to set it equal to 0. We just use slightly different syntax. I less than 10. Again, a semicolon. And I plus plus, right? We did the same thing. So I plus plus. This is a pretty common convention in for loops in all your different programming languages. So we're going to say, because it's JavaScript, we're going to say console.log say hello. All right. And we're going to run this in Node. Oh, and you know what? Because I didn't actually call the function. That's why nothing happened. This is earlier. I shot this video earlier, and I forgot to turn my audio on. So that's why you saw it. So I cleared everything out to do it again. So we'll say hello. All right. And we're going to use Node again to run it. There we go. Say hello 10 times. You can see it's, so you start to understand why I say don't let syntax intimidate you. This used to be really hard for me. It's not hard anymore. It's not because I got so much smarter over the last couple of years. I guarantee I didn't. It's just because I did this stuff every day because I practiced. And I said, once you started to say, hey, this is what a for loop looks like in Apex, it was like a for loop in Java, a for loop in Python, a for loop in JavaScript. They become much more understandable. The syntax starts to really make sense. It's not nearly as hard to pick up on that second language. So another example too. First we'll go back to Apex. All right, so working with our collections is always kind of the same too. So we'll just say we're going to make a list. So in Apex, right, we want to make a list. A list that's going to hold strings, so we have to say list string. So this is a list, and it's going to hold the string data type. We're going to call it names equals new list of strings, all right? And in this case, I'm just going to add a couple values to it this way. Names.add. My name. And I'll do names.add. Eno. It's the name of our dog, all right? So now if I wanted to get a value out of that collection, right, it would be the name of the collection, square brackets, and then 0 will always get me the first value because we use zero-based indexing in programming. So again, I'm going to compile it. And you know what? I need to actually put that into a debug log. So I'm just going to do debug names. Whoops. Names dot 0. All right. Run it. Got some. There we go. So I don't know. I've got this window here. I can't. There we go. Get rid of that. So you can see. That's how we. Now let's see. Well, let's do the exact same thing again in JavaScript. All right. So now we're just going to, because JavaScript, and this can actually be confusing if you come from a statically typed language like Apex or Java, you don't have to declare the type. So, but we're not curly braces. We're going to use square braces, and I'm going to just say, I'm going to make an array, and I'm going to put books, and I'm going to put Eno in, just like I did before. All right. Same concept though. And then if I did, we'll log it to the console. Console.log names, and again you see it's going to be square braces and a 0. And end it with a semicolon. So you can see, I mean, the pattern is the same, right? That's just how we access ordered values from a collection. Doesn't really change much depending on the language. It just takes practice to get it down. And we'll run it again. And boom, exact same thing. So hopefully this was useful to you, not in terms of any sense of learning to code, because we did pretty simple things, but understanding that syntax is just something you got to get down. There's no way that I know of, and if you do, please let me know in the comments. There is no way that I know of other than practice. And again, I'm going to say practice, practice, practice. This is a profession. Like, if you want to be a great, I don't care how great a piano player you are, you got to practice the piano every day. If you are a cabinet maker, you got to practice carpentry every day. And coding is no different, right? If basketball player, even if they're the elite level in the NBA, they still have to practice every single day. It's just how it is. It's something we have to do in this profession. If you enjoy it, it'll never feel like work. So hopefully this was useful to you. If it was, or even if it was not, if you're like, who's this random dude on the internet giving me career advice, let me know in the comments. And again, please take a second. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, hit like and subscribe. Maybe let me know if what you'd like to see in another video on this topic. And everybody take care, and I'll talk to you soon.